Hello everyone and welcome to this Groovy JMeter tutorial series. In this particular tutorial, we will learn about the constructors. So let's begin. In Groovy, a constructor is basically a special method used to initialize objects. And in our previous tutorial, we learned about the classes and objects, and we know that we create the object of the class. So this special method is invoked when an object of a class is created. Now, constructors allows us to set the initial state of an object when it is initiated. Okay. And if you don't provide a constructor, then Groovy will provide you a default one. And there are two type of constructors. One is a default one and other one is a parameterized constructor. Now let's go to the JMeter and let's see what is the difference without using a constructor and having a constructor. So in our previous example, we actually write a class and create an object, but we didn't use the constructor. So first I will show you that one, and then we will write another code and where we actually write our constructor. So now let's go to the JMeter. So now we are in the JMeter, and in our previous tutorial what we did is that we created a class, and inside that class we have some variables which is name and age, and then we had this function which actually displays the name and age. And here we created the object, and when we were creating the object, so we were calling the properties basically. So we were giving the values for the name and age over here, and then we were displaying those particular attributes. Now here we didn't use the constructor here because we haven't initialized the value. So remember these lines of code from here, and now what I'll do is that I'll simply remove these lines of code from here, and inside the class here, when after defining that let me remove this one and let me add another JSR sampler over here, because I'm not sure why it's showing the small fonts, but no problem. We will go here and simply we say class and class person, and here in this class we need a string. So string, and we need a name, and we need a age, just like in our previous example. Now what we will do is that we will write a parameterized constructor, so which contains the parameters. Okay, so person, and this person will have a string name and integer age. So we are parameterizing this one with the name and age over here, and in order to refer the name for this one, so we will use the keyword called this dot name equals to name, and this dot age is equals to age. Now this is a very simple constructor here, and now just like in our previous example, let's create a function which will display a value. So display info, and this particular function will print, okay, just like in our previous example. So I will say print name and value in terms of the one which we are actually getting. So using the dollar sign and the curly braces, and inside this curly braces we would be passing the variable. Okay, so in the same way age, and the age is again dollar curly braces age. So now this class is created with a constructor. So this is the highlighted part is basically a constructor over here. Okay, now previously what we did is that when we are creating a person object, then after creating an object, then we actually used to say that the person one dot name is equals to this, person one dot age equals to this. But because here we have initiated, so we don't need to do that practice. So what we will do is that instead we say person is equals to new person, and here, because this is a parameterized constructor, so when we are creating an object, right, so we need to pass those parameters. So here if I say in the double quotes John and comma age 30, and here you see that in previous example what I did is that I didn't provide this value. Instead what I did is that I wrote person 1 dot name equals to John, person 1 dot age equals to 25, and similarly for the other objects like person 2 dot this, but here I'm not doing in this way. So simply here I'll say person, because already I provided the values, initial values through the constructor, right, initial state. So person dot, so I'm calling this function over here because it will actually display the value. So let me copy this one and paste it here. So when I actually run this one, it will print John and 30 in the console. So let's run this one, and if I go to console, so you see that name John and age 100, and this was the previous example where we didn't use a constructor, right? So when we talk about these constructor, the important points you need to remember is that if you do not provide a constructor in Groovy, then Groovy will automatically provide a default one. Okay. Then second thing is that constructors are a good way to initialize complex objects with the parameters. And in JMeter, Groovy is often used for quick scripting tasks, and using constructors can help manage object initialization efficiently. So if I conclude today's tutorial, so we learned how to use constructor in Groovy within JMeter scripts. We explored both default and parameterized constructors and demonstrated how to initialize an object using a constructor in a JMeter test bed. So we understood how to use constructors help in organizing and managing data when working with the Groovy scripts in JMeter. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. If you like our content, then do like, comment, share and subscribe our channel. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next tutorial.